Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Today I have Dale with me, and this is Dale's second interview with me. So we're just going to have a second conversation. And for those of you that missed the first conversation, we'll stick that in the show notes. So take it away, Dale.
Such a pleasure to be back with you, Win. It's a delight to be able to spend some time with you again.
It is.
So last time we spoke a little bit about trust and the challenges we face uh, as people with disabilities.
Yes.
Um, and I'm legally blind. I wander the world with my guide dog Drake, trying to make it a better place.
Yes. So, um, the biggest challenge, and you guys get to know this firsthand, the biggest challenge I'm having right now is finding insurance companies to get medical testing. And Dale, you would probably know that firsthand because of all the fighting we have to do to get these medical tests. So, what is your biggest I guess your biggest cheerleading moment in saying to people, don't give up.
Yeah, I suspect that insurance companies are designed to be difficult on purpose. Um,
Oh
they
yeah,
they feel like the embodiment of evil on the face of the
yeah,
earth.
yeah,
Um, and they seem to intentionally make it as difficult and challenging as possible for all of us.
yeah.
Um, I I had the experience of I was in an automotive accident, ended up with post-concussion syndrome, and the insurance company cut off my benefits and said, "Oh no, you never got injured. You're fine." About 2 weeks after I was deemed catastrophically impaired. Um, so it's a hard battle to deal with insurance companies for everybody,
Yeah.
particularly folks like us who face additional challenges.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and there seems to be nothing that holds them accountable.
Oh no, there's not. So, what is the biggest stigma that you want to break about being legally blind and having a guide dog? I mean, I interviewed Elsa, who wrote the book Being Blind, and she talks about being blind as a woman. And I think I told you this last time. She talks about dating as a woman and guide dog challenges. But what's your perspective from just so that the human public knows about what's the biggest challenge?
I actually would flip that on its head. I am really blessed to have Drake in my life, and he creates such positive experiences for me because people want to engage with us. And there are, I know that for some they really don't want their guide dog interacting with other folks. I'm a little different than that. I see the joy that he gets when he says hi to someone, and I see the joy that they get from engaging with him. And he actually helps me differentiate between people who don't want to engage and connect and those who do. And so he acts as a great um, screen for me. There are people who are unpleasant in the world, and they don't want to say hi to us, and that's fine. And that tells me something. Um, I think the challenges that I face around travel and those kinds of things. Everyone struggles with some of that, um, but I've got a friend with me all the time, and one of the challenges we're facing in the world right now, when we start talking about trust, trust levels are the lowest they've ever been. And part of that's because there's so much uncertainty. We've seen pandemics, and we've seen changes in social norms and values, and we've seen technology change, and all these things are shifting and changing. And when uncertainty is high, it's hard for us to be vulnerable. But for me and Drake, I'm forced to be vulnerable, every time I travel. Because I don't know where the gates are. It can be a struggle to get where I'm going. I can't read the documentation they've given me. So the world can feel like quite a mystery. But I have to say, there's so many people who want to help and are willing to help. It's actually quite positive.
And those of you who are willing to help, keep up the helping, please, because those of us who need the positive light of you helping, yeah, that makes our job a little bit easier.
Yeah,
And so I try to avoid the people that don't want to help and keep the peace with people that don't want to help. And it's like, really, you're going to drag me down instead of help me up.
right.
Literally, you're going to drag me down, and then you're going to make my day a bit of a challenge. Just say hello, how are you? I'm fine. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah,
The longest I'm gonna answer. Oh, I did this, I did this. I need hello, how are you? I'm fine. That's all I want. And then we can move on. But other than that, it's like, no, people, caregivers in particular, and I'm using this as a general statement. Caregivers go, yay, we got the job with the disabled client. But then when it comes down to it, they look at it thinking, oh, this is not the great job because we don't get paid high enough. We don't get treated well enough. We by the company. We don't get anything well enough, but yet we want people to work. And I agree with you about the trust factor after COVID. It's
right.
not good.
It isn't. And some some of us, there's a lot of people in the world who find it rewarding to help someone else. And there are, I was working last week with a group that does work with kids who have developmental challenges, and they're not there because of the money. They're there because they want to make a difference. They want to have a positive impact. And I think, you know, if we can find ways to pull together, to collaborate, to work together, it makes a better experience for all of us. I would suggest to you, most of the people that don't want to help work at insurance companies.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. Most of the people that don't want to help look at insurance companies. And so, yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting if they just look at the paperwork, they will see that my insurance company deems PT medically necessary. I tried a back injection. You guys know that. And so if they look at the paperwork, they will see the paperwork is there. But no, no, they don't want to look at the paperwork. All they want to tell me is you need to do this, this, and this for
Right.
the myelogram to be approved, but yet we don't have the paperwork in front of our face.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems to be more challenging in the US than it is in a lot of other countries where
Yeah.
healthcare is so expensive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, really help us out here. And what has been your greatest achievement in your either your personal life or your business career?
So there's a couple of things I would say. One is I spoke at Harvard at the Kennedy School of Government, um, and was well received, and they thought that the work that I did was pretty amazing. Um, And then just a couple weeks ago, or about a month ago, I was nominated as one of the world's thought leaders on the topic of trust.
How cool is that? I
Yeah,
love it.
right?
I love it. How cool is that? Well, congratulations on that. And so on the topic of trust. And so how could we begin? My last question for you, and I'm sure you have a lot more questions for me, but how can, after the year of 2020, which was an interesting year for all of us, how can we begin building that trust again? Building that trust of, if we go outside, no, we're not going to get COVID. If we go outside and forget to wear a mask, no, we're
Right.
not going to get COVID. If we go outside and fall on our faces, a person will pick us up. They will dust us off. They will
Right.
love us. But the main thing is people are so afraid to be in contact with other people,
Right.
um, that how can we build up trust that community is safe again?
So trust is a combination of uncertainty and vulnerability. When we're deciding whether to trust someone, we ask ourselves two fundamental questions. And the first question is, how likely am I to be harmed? And the second question is, if I'm harmed, how bad is it going to hurt? And so it's uncertainty times vulnerability gives us a level of perceived risk. And we each have a threshold of risk that we're comfortable with. And if our perception of risk goes beyond that threshold, we don't trust. If it's
Yeah,
beneath it, then we do. And so what that means is that if vulnerability is set at a certain point and uncertainty starts bouncing all over the place like it's been, we get incredibly uncomfortable. So what we need to do is start being more intentional about how we engage with each other, how we connect. And that's why I wrote my book, Building Trust, Exceptional Leadership in an Uncertain World. It's why I give talks, it's why I do workshops. It's really about understanding, where does uncertainty come from and how do I take steps to reduce it? How do I be more clear in the way I communicate with other people?
and certainly Zoom does not help. Zoom does not help. You need to, what I've come to find out is you need to take it offline, and you need to put the technology down and build up that know, like, and trust factor
Right.
that they say it takes uh 12 times. Don't quote me on this, people. I've had a long day, but it takes 12 times for people to buy something, except for the exception of Amazon, but it takes about 12 times for people to hear about. And so it's all about the know, like, and trust factor. Time to put the technology down and start building these human conversations in humans,
Yeah.
and build up the trust again after Zoom for about a good year.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of the things that connected us,
Yeah,
that physical contact, those personal exchanges. And one of the things that Zoom and those other technologies have done is it allows us to connect and communicate, but not in the same way.
yeah,
And we get so focused on task and less focused on each other as human
yeah,
beings.
yeah. So, Randall, where can people find you, and where can people get your book, and where can people find you?
So my website is trustunlimited.com. And if they go to Trust Unlimited and go to the blog section, they can find articles that I've written around parenting and leadership and rebuilding trust with the police. There's some podcasts connected on there as well. There's a link to my book there and to my courses that I teach. Um, they can reach out to me, Darryl at trustunlimited.com. So DARRYL at trustunlimited.com, or they can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So trustunlimited.com, people, and just Google Dell's work. And what is the name of your book, just in case people are not listening and they want to go search it on Audible or search it on Amazon right
Right.
now.
Because they can get it at all those places. It's called
Yeah,
Building Trust,
building trust,
Exceptional Leadership in an Uncertain World.
building trust, exceptional leadership in an uncertain world. And you guys, when my next Audible credit comes in, which will be next month, I'm going to download that book. So I have it in my repertoire. And I appreciated Dale so much for you coming on and sharing a second interview with me.
It's my pleasure, Lynn. Anytime.
Thank you so much. Thanks, you guys. Bye, you guys.